Well, we come from Australia, right?
Yes.
Yeah. I was born in Adelaide,
I was born in Perth.
and we met as teenagers in
In
Adelaide.
Adelaide.
So, yes, that's where it all happened.
We met at 17, 16.
16.
We went out for 6 years, then we've been married for 39 years.
Nearly 40 years, yeah.
Very impressive.
Yes, we have 7 daughters, and they were all born in Australia. 6 of them in Adelaide and 1 in Sydney. And we've moved around a lot, so it's amazing that they weren't actually born all around the world.
So we travelled a lot. We lived with the family, with the 7 daughters, with 6 of the daughters. 1 had left home. In a motorhome, we lived for 10 years.
Yes, so
Out in the outback and in the cities. We were doing community art and
you're travelling to
music and drama. So it was the real circus. Our family was the circus that came to town.
Yeah, but people often ask us if we're gypsies, and I guess we sort of say we think we're pilgrims, really. Just not ever called to stay in the same place, just be ready to move when we're meant to move. So that's what we've continued to do, really.
With our family, and that was like a cubby house on wheels. And you just went from one beach to another, from one playground to another. We pulled our kids out of school 20 years ago because we don't like school. Well, I particularly don't like school. Vivi was a school teacher, so she probably doesn't like it quite as much as I don't like it.
Well, I decided to stop teaching just to bring up our own kids, really, and to and our view of education and bringing the kids up is really to give them experiences of life, and when they're stuck away in a school, it doesn't really work. They don't deal with the creative side of life. So.
And in fact, travelling was an enormous part of their education.
Yeah.
So in the last 12 years, we came over to the Edinburgh Festival, and we were in the Fringe Festival with 3 of our daughters, working for our oldest daughter and her husband theatre company. And a guy saw us and said, "Oh, you should do that in festivals around the world." And we said, "Well, that's a good idea. We didn't have anything else to do." So that's what we've been doing for the last 12 years. We've been in Hackney for the last 2 years. But for the 10 years before that, we travelled the world with our children doing a family show in silver tubes.
Yeah. So
One of the things which has been really great is meet a lot of people. And how that links in with Hackney as well is there's just such a variety of people here. But over the years, particularly our kids in Australia, met many Aboriginal people, which people who live in big cities never meet Aboriginal people. Guess what? Like they've all been pushed out to the fringes. So, our kids were in Aboriginal communities, singing, playing with Aboriginal kids, so... There's just such a lot to be learnt by that interaction. And one of the great things about Hackney is it's all come to one place.
Yeah, I just thought the time had come to come down to Hackney. We were part of a locally based church to a degree. We used to keep coming down to visit some of our daughters, didn't we? And so we felt quite strongly that it was time for us to leave being with our eldest daughter and her husband and their 5 children then by that stage. They just had twins. So we came down here and very quickly got involved locally, and I offered to... we did some volunteering first of all at a local community for alcoholic people and people with mental health illness and drug addiction. So we were volunteering there for about 6 months, weren't we?
Yeah, doing music and art and stuff like that.
And then I got the opportunity to do this very special project that I'm still working on at the moment, and so we're still here and we're loving it. And I think for the first time in our lives we feel that we're actually saying we'll be here for 5 years. We've never actually said that before, and this is the first time that we feel quite strongly that we'll stay here for 5 years. I think we knew that it was not only a very culturally diverse place, but also a place where many artists come and musicians and people who want to live life creatively, and we knew of the church people, and they were also, a lot of those people were involved in the arts and involved in different community projects, basically really wanting to support people in the local environment and then the wider environment and the world environment as well, but to be with people. And we just felt that this seemed a very open, multi-faith, multicultural...
Yeah, I mean, the church here, the United Reformed Church, who, this is a community house that we're in at the moment, and the community worker got together 20 or 30 people who put in money, and then the church put in some money, and then there was some loan, and they bought this house so that people could work in this area at a livable rent.
Yes.
It's a great vision.
Here everybody's in together, and I love it. You get on the bus and you might only be one other English-speaking person on there, and it's what's so fantastic. And I just sort of, I feel sad when people don't have a chance of doing that. And I think in Australia, there are people from other countries, but it's not what I'd call multicultural. It's not that sense of everybody in together, having to work together to survive, really. And that's what I love about it.
I work with recovering alcoholics and drug addicts. I do 3 sessions, which is a morning, 2 afternoons and a morning. So one afternoon we have a band. At the moment it's got about 9 members in the band, and we write songs out of the guy's experience, and we do the music. So there's bass, drums, guitars, mandolin, harmonica, lead guitar, singers.
So I'm working with finding out the local people's needs in relation to grief and loss, and I'm doing that through going around listening to people's stories through creative arts and drama and movement and song and a lot of visual art, and just listening to people's stories about grief and loss, from little tiny children to elderly people.
So that's primary schools, high schools, carers groups,
and
community groups,
local cultural groups in the Bengali Somali community. Majority of people where I'm working are from the Bengali and Somali communities, mostly Muslim, and it's an amazing experience for me, not coming from that background.
So, and one other thing I do is a mural. So we're doing a mural at the back of the church. There's a thing called the Old Mortuary, and this is at Shoreditch Church, so which is in Tower Hamlets. But there's an old mortuary there, and that's where they used to lay all the bodies, all the dead bodies. And in fact, Jack the Ripper's last victim, Mary Kelly, she was laid in that building.
As in...
Laid, something like word. She was laid to rest in that building. That's probably happened too, I imagine. But, you know...
A bit of both, I think, yeah.
Say no more. There's shutters on the windows now. That's all I can tell you.
Home for me, I don't ever think to the future as to what I'm going to plan to do. So home for me, I think a place that I would call home is somewhere where I feel I can have anybody that wants to come, a place where people feel welcome. Home is also a place of food happening and lots of sharing, lots of crying, maybe even, lots of tears, lots of laughter, lots of cups of tea and people and our own family. And we've got 10 grandchildren. That some of them we see reasonably often, others we don't see enough. So, but I think obviously in a Christian sort of sense place, home is at the end of this life. But
well, I think for me that's, to be honest, home is heaven, and this earth is just a travelling place. So itinerancy, that's really what life is. Yeah. We're all travellers, we're all pilgrims, and heaven really is where we'll feel comfortable. These are reasonably comfortable. You know.
I think it's horrible.
But I think heaven will be the ultimate comfortable chair.
Okay, this is a goodnight song that we used to do a lot when we were saying goodnight to the kids in the motorhome, our 7 children and us squeezing together in the motorhome. So we all did this.
Good night, God, the day has gone and the stars have come. We've tried our best and our work is done. We pray for rest and to be refreshed. Please keep us safe, snug and warm, 'cause we're signing off until the morn.